In the near future, a mysterious virus sweeps across the globe, causing infected people slowly transform into animals. First, they lose their human appearance, then their voices, and finally their consciousness, completely merging with nature. At the outbreak's start, governments are helpless. Under mounting pressure, they resort to extreme measures, isolating those already infected. One day, Francois and his son Amil are on their way to a containment center to visit his wife when they hit a traffic jam. Suddenly, from an escort vehicle heading to the center, they hear sounds of a struggle. An infected patient breaks free, his mutated body stronger than any normal human. He takes down 2 staff members and makes a run for it. Amil witnesses it all. He sees the patient's feet now transformed into claws, and his arm into a wing. When they finally reach the center, Amil is terrified his mom will lose her humanity too, becoming a complete stranger. A mysterious virus is turning people into beasts. Francois's wife Lana has become a bear. Though she hasn't fully transformed yet, she retains very few human traits. Every week Francois visits her, hoping to hear some good news from the doctors. She tells him that Lana's condition is stable and that the treatment seems to be working. To further control the situation, the facility decides to move all patients to a southern medical center, equipped with better resources. If everything goes well, Francois and his son Amil will also relocate to the south. However, Amil is still struggling to accept his mother's transformation. In her room, there are family photos hanging on the wall, which the facility hopes will spark some memories for Lana. But she's already in the late stages of mutation and often loses control, leaving claw marks all over the walls. Amil can't shake the guilt that it was his actions that led to Lana being taken to the center, and he feels lost about how to confront her. To make caring for his wife easier, Francois moves south with Amil and finds a job. Amil transfers to a new school, but fearing that the truth about his mother will come out, he tells his classmates that she has passed away. Just as they're about to embrace a fresh start, disaster strikes. Francois receives a call. The medical team transporting his wife has been in a car accident, and the ambulance has plunged into a lake. Francois rushes to the scene. The good news is that Lana's name isn't on the list of deceased. The bad news is that she's gone missing along with the other mutated patients. The mutated individuals have heightened senses of smell and hearing. Back home, Francois immediately starts hanging up family clothes around the house, hoping that a familiar scent might draw Lana back. But Amil believes that his mother, having turned into an animal, has lost her humanity and memory, and he doubts she will ever come back. The next day, during gym class, shy Amil is assigned to participate in a tug-of-war. His classmates mock him mercilessly, but in an unexpected twist, Amil rises to the occasion, single-handedly taking on 4 opponents and dominating the match with surprising strength. He's just as confused as everyone else about the source of this power. Yet, he can sense something within him is changing. When he gets home after school, he notices a sharp claw tip stuck under his fingernail. Seeing his now protruding spine, Amil realizes with dread that he is mutating too. He refuses to accept this reality and frantically washes his body over and over, trying to scrub away the signs of his transformation. Meanwhile, Francois is shopping at the supermarket when he runs into Officer Julia. The police are searching for the missing mutated individuals. Suddenly, chaos erupts in the seafood section. Someone screams that they've seen a monster. Francois knows the odds of it being Lana are slim, but he still hopes it's her and rushes after Julia into the fray. A mutated octopus girl is caught sneaking seafood. She knocks over a pile of seafood and tries to escape, but the police quickly apprehend her. Francois feels a wave of disappointment as he prepares to leave, but then he notices a tail peeking out from under a shelf. With a mix of fear and courage, he bends down to take a look, discovering a child mutating into a pangolin.
Non aver paura.
When the police arrive, Francois chooses to remain silent and lets the pangolin child go. The next day, Francois shares his plan with Amil. He has stocked up on supplies and intends to head into the forest to search for Lana. He sets the departure for Saturday. On Friday night, Amil is invited to a class gathering. At the party, his mutation starts becoming more apparent. After drinking too much, his classmates give him some hangover pills, but he unconsciously licks them with his tongue, drawing laughter for being unhygienic. Under the influence, Amil loses control of his body and lets out a loud belch, which echoes through the woods and sets off the calls of other animals. It feels like a summons, compelling him to abruptly leave the party and dive into the forest. When he wakes up the next day, he finds himself by the lake, having spent the night there with blood at the corner of his mouth. He quickly rushes back home. While checking his body, Amil pulls a feather out of his throat. Did he eat a bird last night? It's the first time he and Francois drive into the restricted zone, cautiously searching for Lana. They talk about a lot of things during their journey. Amil asks his father if he ever blamed him for calling the police and getting his mother taken away. Francois makes it clear that he only blames Amil for what he said and for spending money carelessly. They search deep into the night but still don't catch a glimpse of Lana. Before heading home, Francois decides to try one more time. He plays a CD of Lana's favorite songs in the car, but fate isn't on their side and they still can't find her. As dawn approaches, their dog suddenly darts into the forest. Amil follows and discovers a little girl climbing a tree. Before he can react, a shadow lunges at him, knocking him down with brutal force. Amil recognizes the attacker. It's the bird person from the traffic chaos days before. The bird person seems to sense Amil's mutation and holds back, not delivering a fatal blow. Just in time, Francois arrives and pulls Amil to safety. On their way home, they run into the police and learn that mutated individuals have attacked a horse ranch. Noticing Amil's injuries, Officer Julia takes him to a clinic to tend to his wounds. Amil realizes he's on the brink of mutating into a beast, feels a strong urge to understand life in the wild. He catches 2 fish in the lake and sneaks into the bird person's territory, unexpectedly finding him attempting to learn to fly. His attempts are comical and clearly not going well. Amil offers one of the fish as a gesture of goodwill, and sure enough, the bird person's attitude shifts with the promise of food. After some friendly conversation, Amil learns that the bird person's name is Fix, and that he's been keeping company with a chameleon girl living in the trees. When Amil asks about his mother, Fix explains that mutated individuals tend to be solitary due to their psychological struggles, so he hasn't seen Lana. Noticing the feathers scattered everywhere, Amil warns Fix that if he keeps practicing like this, he might end up injuring himself before mastering flight. Fix gets frustrated at first, but acknowledges that if he can't learn to fly, he won't be able to protect himself. After a brief silence, Amil leads Fix to a lakeside spot where a broken tree branch serves as a makeshift diving board. To prevent Fix from getting hurt, Amil jumps into the lake and clears away the debris. Touched by Amil's willingness to help, Fix begins to see him as a true friend. From then on, whenever he has the chance, Amil comes to watch Fix's diving performances and helps treat his injuries. Their bond deepens, and Amil enjoys these moments. The only downside is that his mutation has affected his sense of balance. After multiple failed attempts to ride his bike, he eventually decides to leave it behind in the forest. Meanwhile, Francois continues searching for Lana. While working part-time at a restaurant, he feels a presence behind him. Initially thinking it might be Lana, he's taken by surprise when he turns around to find himself face-to-face with a large sea lion. Francois is suddenly attacked by the mutated sea lion, but thanks to the bar owner's quick thinking, he narrowly escapes with his life. With no time to waste, he rushes towards the last place he saw Lana. However, when he finally spots her, he's horrified by her appearance. This moment of retreat shatters any hope Lana had of returning home. Before long, a large group of police officers arrives at the restaurant. Francois informs Officer Julia about seeing Lana, but she decides not to report it. Instead, she joins Francois in the search for his wife in the forest. They search for hours but find nothing. Just as they're about to leave, they stumble upon Amil's discarded bicycle. Back home, Francois cleans the bike, and while tidying up, he discovers a clump of fur in the sink's plumbing, containing animal claws. His heart sinks at the realization. Later, when Amil returns home, Francois shows him the claws and asks for an explanation. When Amil refuses to answer truthfully, Francois pulls out the bike and asks Amil to take a ride. Francois pulls Amil into a tight embrace, urging him to remain as calm as possible. They must face the reality of the situation together. Francois doesn't want to send Amil to a containment facility. That would leave him utterly alone. So he resolves to hide the truth from his son and instructs him on how to avoid drawing suspicion. He tells Amil to cut his nails daily, shave off any new fur, and wear earplugs to block out low-frequency noises. If Amil wants to remain under the radar, he must adhere to these rules. Some time later, Amil visits the forest to see Fix, but to his surprise, Fix, having transformed into a bird person due to the virus, can't speak but communicates through bird calls. However, Amil is thrilled to see that Fix has learned to fly, flapping his wings just before touching the ground. That evening, the town holds a festival. Amil arrives 3 hours late, causing Francois to worry. As he feared, Amil hasn't followed the instructions and has failed to cut his nails. This leads to a heated argument between them. Amil feels like his father isn't protecting him but rather imprisoning him. Francois, in turn, is frustrated that Amil doesn't understand his concerns and feelings. Despite their argument, Francois ultimately respects Amil's choices. However, Amil's defiance comes with consequences. A classmate who has noticed something off about him brings a low-frequency device to test him. The noise overwhelms Amil, and in a moment of panic, he accidentally scratches the boy. The commotion draws attention, and the townspeople quickly mobilize. Hunters equipped with stilts begin searching the cornfields for the mutant responsible for the attack. As they get closer to uncovering Amil's secret, Fix suddenly swoops down from the sky, grabbing a hunter and tossing him aside. Amil follows closely behind, darting deeper into the forest, completely oblivious to the danger they're in. The visibly exposed Fix is shot down by one of the hunters, and when Amil finds him, he's barely breathing. In a heart-wrenching decision, Amil reluctantly leaves Fix behind and continues to flee from the hunters. With reports of 2 violent attacks, a large military force rushes in from the nearby base. The situation is escalating, making a major confrontation seem inevitable. The following day, Amil wanders through the forest, his mutated traits becoming increasingly pronounced. His agile movements suggest he's developing characteristics of a feline creature. He spends his days exploring, almost as if he's getting to know his new home. One day, he wakes up in a cave and suddenly catches a whiff of a familiar scent. It's his mom, Lana, still holding on to a hint of her humanity. She has come to see Amil, not wanting to leave any regrets in her remaining time. She nudges him back into the cave twice, as if urging him that the outside world is too dangerous. It turns out, this is the mutant stronghold, teeming with bizarre new species. Before Amil can fully comprehend what he's seeing, smoke grenades suddenly rain down from above, accompanied by a piercing low-frequency sound. The humans have finally found this place. Lana quickly darts away, while the other mutants are captured en masse. Only a chameleon girl manages to escape, blending into her surroundings with her camouflage abilities. Because Amil still retains some human features, he narrowly avoids the violent treatment meted out to others. When Francois hears about the chaos, he rushes to bail Amil out. Following the protocol, all Amil needs to do is sign a form to be released. However, he has forgotten how to write, and he even shows animal-like aggression. Francois acts quickly, knocking out the officer and whisking Amil away from the police station. They must leave before the authorities regain their senses. Amil tells his father that he saw his mother in the forest, but Francois merely glances at him and remains silent, perhaps secretly relieved that even in nature, Amil has family to care for him. From Amil's behavior, Francois deduces that his son might be developing characteristics of a fox or a wolf. He explains to Amil that dogs can run up to about 30 miles per hour, sometimes even hitting 37. With urgency, Francois leads Amil into the forest's restricted zone, determined to return him to nature before the police arrive. Run, run, he urges with tears in his eyes. Even as the police close in, nothing can stop Amil's flight into the wild. This film is called The Animal Kingdom. It tells a simple yet complex story in a unique way. When a significant change occurs within a community, does love still exist? The answer is, of course, yes. Everyone may interpret love differently, but no matter how it manifests, love remains an essential part of all species. The film is definitely worth watching. I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you all for your attention and subscriptions. See you next time.